Hello, everybody. Andrew Blake from the digitalaudiomanual.com with another episode of Cubase Tips for the week of April 3rd, 2026. Let's talk about render in place, and specifically the rendering modes. We have a piece of MIDI or audio. We want to render it off. We go up to Edit, come down to the list that says Render in Place. We have two options. We want to render it with the current settings or change the render settings. Let's look at the render settings. At the very top of this dialog, we have a section that says Mode, with a drop-down list that allows us to make these three choices: as separate events, as block events, or as one event. The purpose of these modes is to give you some options on how you want to render your audio or MIDI if it's been cut or separated in some way. Let's start by taking this event and slice it up into 4 pieces using the scissors tool. And I'll take this first piece and move it over a little bit to the left, and I'll take this last piece and I'll move it a little bit to the right. When you're dealing with render in place, you don't really have to worry about your locators, only whether you've selected the track or selected the events. We're going to stay with selecting the track. But if I make my first choice from the one at the bottom of the list, it says as one event, go ahead and hit render. I can see that all of these pieces have been combined into a single audio event. And the data or information from this first event is right here in this section. Data from these 2 events is in this middle section. And the data from this last event has been bounced into this last area over here. But everything is combined into a single audio event now. If I back out of this, redo the steps, and choose the first option that says as separate events, now when I render, I actually get 4 separate new audio events that mirror the MIDI events that were rendered from. The first one has this MIDI event. Now it's been turned into this audio event. These 2 over here that are cut right in the middle have also produced 2 separate audio events. And then finally, the last one has also produced its own audio event. If I back out of this and choose this very last option that says as block events, we wind up with 3 events from the original 4. The beginning one, because it's over here on its own, produced a separate audio event. And the one on the end, because it's on its own, also produced a separate audio event. But because these 2 events in the middle are right next to each other and actually touching each other, they have been combined into what's called a block and then produced one single audio event. So as long as anything is touching the event in front of it or behind it, that will be considered a block and rendered off to its own separate event. The only thing you have to pay attention to with this, in order to get the exact result that you want, back in the rendering settings, because you have the option to turn on the tail, which is great if you have a long reverb or delay that you want to capture as well. But once you turn this tail on, in this case it's turned off, and we can set it to bars and beats as an example, and the tail size is set at 4 bars. Regardless of whether you take as separate events or as block events, many times it's going to automatically render this off as a single event, because the tail from any one of these is going to overlap the next event and force this to render as if it was just one single event. So the option to turn on or off your tail mode will override the results you get from your mode drop-down list. All right, let's talk about naming schemes. We finish our song, we go up to File, Export, and finally Audio Mixdown. We have all kinds of choices in how we can render off the audio, but up in this top area, where it says file location and it asks for the name. Once you put the name in of your song, you have this little gear on the side that says set up the naming scheme. If I click on this little gear, I get all kinds of choices that I can put to work that in many ways can auto-fill in some of these naming choices. The first thing to pay attention to, in the area that says result, you get these little fields or boxes. In this case, it says name. These are taken from this upper area that says attributes, and after you've added these various previews, if you want to remove them, you can hit either the X or the little trash can over on the right. To bring new attributes into this area, I can either double click on them or I can click on them and drag them down, and this builds up your own little naming system for your files. And at the very bottom, as you build these, you also get a preview so you can see the actual result. For example, I put name in here, so down in the preview area, shows the name of my song. Let's say I go over to the option that says channel name, drag that down in here, then that's now added into the preview. Let's say I go to project name, bring that down, and then that also is added into the preview area. In between each one of these attributes, right now it shows a little dash, and that's determined by this area that says separator. because right now it shows this little dash. Let's say I click on that, I want to change it to an underline instead. Then my preview is updated with an underline for the separator. You have this extra option that says free text. If you bring that into the list, once you've done that, you can click on it and add whatever specific text you want to add. Type it in, hit enter, and then that gets added to the preview as well. You have the option to say news scheme, and then you can recall these anytime you need to. Some of these fields are grayed out until you add the right attribute. Right now it says digit and counter. You can't get to these, but if you add channel number, now I can change this to something. So taking advantage of all these options when it comes to naming your tracks can help save you a lot of time and help you organize things so you can find them easy. And if you're sharing your songs with someone else, they also will know exactly what they're looking at. And if you're looking to significantly up your skill level with all these various features and functions in Cubase and Wavelab, be sure to click the link in the description of this video so you can get your free preview copy of the digital audio manual. That allows you to look over all the many subjects that are waiting there for you to help move you closer to being an expert. As always, it's great to have you here. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.